Erasing the I. Not the eyes which sees, but the I, that is the ego. Now what is this I? I or ego is the conscious subject that identifies itself with the body-mind complex, functions as the experiencer, as the doer, and feels itself as an individual distinct from external objects. This I is not the real self, but not different from the real self altogether. The real self, or that conscious subject, is the basis of the ego. The self appears as this ego, as this I. What is the real self? Real self is our basic nature. It is pure spirit, self-luminous identity, absolute awareness, that which we are. To see the light, we don't have the need of any other light. Light is luminous. Similarly, our own self is self-luminous. We don't need anything else to reach to it or see to it. Only the thing as was being read, this self is covered with the cloud of ignorance. And that covering of the real self, that pure spirit, ever blissful, ever aware, ever conscious, that thing is covered with ignorance. And when that reality is covered, then something is projected. And instead of being aware of our real nature, identifying ourselves with that thing, we identify ourselves with something which is anatma, which is non-self. With what we identify? Immediate identification is with the body-mind complex. We start thinking, this body I am, this mind I am. Don't we say that this is my body, this is my mind, but in all practical purposes we feel as if I am this body. When we are sick, we say, I am not feeling well. It is not that you are not feeling well, it is your body which is sick. You are that self or Atman which is untouched by any suffering. When this body dies, we are so much identified with the body. When it dies, we say, I am dying. I am not dying, this body is dying. Whatever is created has to die. That is the nature of creation. Otherwise, no creation. Creation means that. The change, the birth, sustenance and decay. Without that, there is no creation. And when body is created, it has to decay and die. It is made up of elements. Whatever is, whenever there is uniting of the things, different things coming together, getting one, and there will come a time when all these parts will disintegrate, go separate. Whatever you hold dear is subject to change, separation and decay, said Buddha. Whatever you hold dear, your relations, your body, your mind, everything will go away. So that is the rule. Now how this self becomes this small I? Actually we use capital I, big I, uppercase. But in fact we have made that self, Atman, into a small I, very minute. The real self has been forgotten, and instead of that we take something very smaller, insignificant thing as I. When I say I am this, then I have already reduced my real nature. My real nature is infinite, all powerful, all pervading, all blissful. And I become, by identifying with this, making that big I into small I. We write capital I, big I, but we in fact consider ourselves a very small I. That is the ego. When that big real I is made into insignificant, this body-mind identification, then that becomes ego. Through ajnana or avidya, that is ignorance, this self or the Atman becomes I or the ego. The self associated with ignorance becomes connected with particular mode of the mind, and then it asserts itself as I, or I am someone, I am man, I am woman, I am an engineer, I am a businessman. All this comes one after another. These upadhis are added, layers after layers of ignorance are added to it, and we start feeling that I am a PhD, I am a good-looking person. All are false identification of ourselves. All this I, whenever we add, we get the degrees. I get the masters, PhDs. In Bengali, they use this pass. You pass the undergrad and go into the master's course. This is called pass. In Bengali word, there's pass is like the rope which ties is all pass. So Sri Ramakrishna used to use this. How many pass you are tied with how many passes. So if someone was a graduate, so he would say, 4 passes you have. You are tied with 4 ropes. It's not that you have qualified, but you have become more bound. You have become more identified with the false I. This ego has become more stronger, more puffed up, more swelled, and all more deeper into ignorance. So this all upadhis are added. You become very rich person, then you become I am a rich millionaire. Another ignorance came. More deeper into ignorance you are dipping, and the more we go deep into the ignorance, we invite more suffering. That's how this I, swelling of the I, instead of going to the right eye, the swelling this wrong eye, this small letter I, lowercase I, you make it bigger and bigger and bigger. And you want to make it indelible. I don't want to die. Even if I die, this I should remain. John's name, John Mackenzie, his name, even John Mackenzie died, his name should be there. So much he donated money, so much work he did, so many things he acquired. So those all should remain even after I die. All this is making the small I, trying to make it small I more prominent. But that doesn't invite you the joy that you are. You go away from your real nature and you invite suffering. So how to get, in Bengali there is a saying, there is so much suffering in the world. How can I be free from all this? Ami mole kuchibe janjal. All this garbage thing is coming. All this garbage, as if I am carrying the garbage. So janjal is that garbage. So how this garbage will go away, which is associated with me? You say, when I will die. Not the I has to die, the real I. It will never die. But this I, the ego, the misidentified ego I has to die, then all peace. When this I dies, let us see how this I works in our life. First, this I, where is this I? What is the seat of this I? The seat of I is mind. The self associated with particular mode of mind identified with body-mind complex. The seat of ego or I is mind. Now this I has various of things it does. It changes from one thing to another. It identifies with the body, with the organs, and with the senses when we are in a waking state. Everything we see is I, every part is I. Just this ego identifies. After that, not only is it sufficient to identify with the body, then it creates mind. And then it starts identifying with the thing which we call mind. I have a pet, someone doesn't like, oh, your dog is not good. Then you become immediately unhappy. You identify with the dog as if he's seeing something wrong with the dog. One person was there, he had gone to a mall and another person had brought a dog. Something the dog jumped to this person. This person had come from India, a little scared of dog. When dog jumped to a small dog pet, but he was afraid and said, "But," he said loudly, little rebuked the dog. The owner of dog became so angry that he came to this man and gave a punch, blow on his face, and his tooth fell down. Can you imagine? The identification of the dog. If that man had said something to this owner of the dog, perhaps he would have reacted that way. But he said to this dog is more I than my body. That happens sometimes, identification. We identify with our clothes. We identify with our belongings. We identify with our car. Little scratch in the car, as if it is a scratch, it is a wound on my body. You feel, oh, what will happen? My new car got scratched. How this I gets more transformed into things which we call mind. That also looks like I. This all happens in the waking state. What happens to the I in dream state? In the dream state, the identification of ourself from the body recedes. And where that I goes, where that ego goes, it gets mixed up with the subconscious level. And whatever in the subconscious level there is, I is active there. Urges, desires, tendencies, all start playing with that. And then it creates the dreams, which is quite different. It may be quite different from the waking state. One queen may go to sleep and dream, and she may become a beggar there, suffering, asking for food. But she is a queen sleeping nicely in her palace. But in dream state, the I can play that way. Just it can change your personality in dream state. This I is so powerful. It can make anything of yourself, just moving and playing with you. How many things in dream? One person is sleeping nicely and suddenly he goes to the forest and dream all making. This I is making that. Goes to the forest and from nowhere the tiger comes and you run for your life. And tiger just approaches you, feel its breath on your neck, and suddenly the dream breaks. And oh, I am sleeping cozily on my bed. So comfortable. So this is the play of I in our dream state. It mixes with our subconscious urges, desires and tendencies and starts playing there. Playing with real self. What happens in deep sleep? In the deep sleep, this I or the ego does not function. It becomes functionless. It is functionless in deep sleep. And that's why we are not aware of that. And when it is functionless, after we get from deep sleep, we feel so much rest. I had such a wonderful sleep. I feel fresh. I feel so happy. Having wonderful sleep is not only you feel rested, but you feel happy. A sort of joy is there. How the joy comes? It is because of the non-functioning of this ego. This ego creates all problems, whether in waking state or dream state. It gives us enjoyment a little, but suffering a lot. This is the cause of this I. What are the evils that I creates? You lose concentration. It flickers from this place to that place. You lose peace of mind. I always tries to do that. Makes you restless. It causes your own suffering by creating jealousy, greed, and those sorts of things. All are the creation of this misidentified self with this body-mind complex. And by making this, we separate from the rest of the world. The reality is, all this is self. There is nothing but the self. But somehow, this ignorance or avidya makes us identify with this body and mind and makes us separate from all other things. And then we start reacting with our own self in the form of external world, and something we like, greater thing we don't like, and we have all the sufferings, all the worries, anxieties are because of this I. When Arjuna went to war and he saw in the battlefield army arrayed on two sides, then he said, I will fight. Ego came up. I won't fight. I don't want to kill. He forgot that it is that you who will kill. It is all that providence, that ultimate reality, that is responsible for everything. You don't work. That I work, I enjoy. That itself is a false notion. So, Arjuna was in the spell of this ego that he is going to kill his enemies. And he said, I can't kill. Then Sri Krishna showed, you don't have to kill Arjuna. You don't in fact do anything. It is God who does through you. Why are you worried? You just be like an agent. Just show that you are killing. And Arjuna, Sri Krishna showed that all whom you think will be killed, all are killed. He showed the future. All are killed by nature, by God. Those who has created has already killed them. You just are an instrument. Nimitta matram bhava sabba sacha. Nimitra is the instrument, agent. You are not the doer. This I makes us feel I am the doer, I am the enjoyer. Karta, bhokta. This feeling is brought by this I, this ego. But Sri Ramakrishna gave some very nice example, which is often told, how this ego creates problem. When I say I, creates problem. So he said that a cow used to say hamba, hamba. Hamba in Hindi means, aham means I. So because it said I, there is no end to the suffering of cow. So this cow, when it gets old, first time it's tied and it has to give milk or work for the master, if it's the ox, work for the owner, all full life. After it dies, because it said hamba, hamba, it said I. It dies, its skin is removed, made into the shoes or the drum, then drum is beaten by others or shoes is worn by others. There is also not, and after the death also its parts are used in that way. Drum is beaten. And its bones are made into the manure, pounded and grounded and made into the fertilizer. So there is no end to it. And from its entrails is made cardor, that which loosens the cotton. And that person plays it with loosening the cotton with a big string. And then it says, tuhu, tuhu. After that, Sri Ramakrishna says, there is end of its suffering. No more change, no more suffering. When it says I, suffering started. And whole life, even after life, as it were, the cow suffers. And suffering ends only when it says, not I, not thy, tuhu, tuhu, you, thou, thou. So Sri Ramakrishna used to always say, to get rid of ego is to say, not I, but thou, O Lord. Not that I am doing, not that I am enjoying, but thou, O Lord, you are the doer. You are the enjoyer. I am just your instrument. This I is the cause. Big cloud, big covering, dark, dense. It separates us from God. Or our God, what is God? God is our own real nature. Just we manifest ourselves, that's a God. God is full manifestation of ourself is God. Then this I covers this. Unless this I is removed, God is not cannot see. When this I is removed, then there is God. Kabir Das, in one of his doha, he says, "Jab main tha tab hari nahi." When I am there, then there is no God. Jab hari hai, main nahi. When God is there, then I is removed. Sri Ramakrishna gives a beautiful example that one in a household there was some event was there, and the store was given. One person was given in charge of the store. Now there were many things that had to be brought for cooking, for arranging all that, but that person was in charge. Somebody asked the master of the house, "So can you give me that vegetable or that rice or something what to be cooked?" He says, "Go and see, there is the person who is in charge of the store, ask from him. I cannot go there till that person is in charge in the store." So we cannot do anything. We have made this I or the ego in charge of ourselves. And unless that I is removed from there, I goes away from there, the owner, the real self cannot work and function. The owner cannot go there and say, give him rice. He said, "I have been made in charge, I will decide it," because that person is there. So that is ego, and real person is looking, cannot do anything. That person somehow goes, "Now I won't work, I have to go leave, I have to go home." Then this master can go there and give whatever he likes to other person. Jab main tha tab hari nahi. When I am there, there is no God. When there is God, I is removed, vanished. Sab andhiyara mit gaya, jab deepak dekhe mahi. When we see light, all darkness goes away. When God comes, the darkness, the cloud of I, all vanishes, goes away. Then the sun shines, as today the day is beautiful, smiling, sun shining. Sri Ramakrishna practiced this, removing ego. We'll come to the point how to remove ego. And he used to feel that there is no I left inside him. He said, "I don't find my I. It's all God, it's all Mother, Divine Mother inside me. She is doing everything. I do nothing. It is God that moves me, that makes me speak. I don't speak. I don't move." When you remove I totally, God takes possession of yourself. That story of one person who was very devoted to God, Vishnu. Suddenly Vishnu from in heaven gets up one day. And Lakshmi says, "Where are you going so fast? What happened?" "Oh, my devotee is in danger." He goes there and he immediately returns. Then Lakshmi asks, "What happened? You went to save your devotee?" "Oh, what happened, you see, Lakshmi, is that there is my devotee who always takes my name and thinks of me. I love him and he also loves me." So he was going through near the river, and there were some washermen who had washed their clothes and had given it to dry on the sun. And my devotee, oblivious of the clothes and all that, thinking of me, he walked upon those clothes. When those dried, clean clothes were stepped upon, trampled by this devotee of mine, washermen were very angry, and they all came with a stick to beat this man. He was my devotee, he is my devotee, so it is my duty, because he has no his self, so it is my duty to protect him. So that's why I had trust to protect that no harm is done to that devotee. Then Lakshmi said, "Then why did you come back so soon?" Then he laughed and said, "Oh, you know what happened? After that I found that this devotee of mine picked up some stones himself, bricks, and he was throwing on the washerman." So he was protecting himself. Ego had come up, God went back to heaven. If he had fully relied on God and had the thought of the ego, I had not come, he would be protected by God. When you try to protect yourself, then God will go away. Swami Vivekananda had said that's why God helps them who help themselves. That is a saying. But Swami Vivekananda said, ultimately that is not true. The truth is God helps them who do not help themselves. Complete surrender, complete faith in God. But until I is there will be always obstruction of God's coming. I is the barrier of God's coming to us. When this I is removed, what will happen? Identification with this body-mind will go. Then, first thing will be identification as I feel this body as mine. Every body will be felt as mine. Not that mine only, pet is felt as mine. Every one will be felt as if it is me. And that love will come for everyone. No distinction, no identification. Swami Vivekananda once went to Lahore and gave a beautiful talk on Vedanta. That's in the complete works of Swami Vivekananda. He is one of the masterpiece lecture on Vedanta, Lahore lecture. After listening to this lecture, there was a professor, young professor, Tirath Ram, Professor Tirath Ram. He was so charmed with the Swamiji's personality and his speech. He came after the lecture to Swamiji, made pranam to him, and said, Swamiji, I want to make you a gift. This is one of my precious things that I have got. One gold watch, pocket watch. This I give to you. He put in Swamiji's watch, Swamiji's pocket. Swamiji, immediately Swami Vivekananda did, took out the pocket from his pocket, this watch, and put it back in the pocket of Tirath Ram. And said, Professor, I will use this watch in this pocket. Not in this pocket, in that pocket I will use. So that is the erasing I. No I, or the I in everyone. The two ways they say I was removed. One is Swami Vivekananda way, another is Nag Mahashaya way. Girish Ghosh said, Nag Mahashaya, I was so small that it could not be felt. He just decreased the I. There was no I left. In Swami Vivekananda, I became so big that it covered everyone. So Mahamaya, this ignorance, the I is the tool of the ignorance by which he catches us. So Girish Ghosh says, the I has a net, the Mahamaya, the ignorance has the net, the Divine Mother has a net to make this samsara. And when she tried to catch Nag Mahashaya, he became so small that he came out of the net. The net couldn't catch him. And Swami Vivekananda became so big, the net became small. Mahamaya could not catch him. So they were all, both were not under the spell of Mahamaya, spell of ignorance. In one, ignorance was, this I became very small, another I became very big. There are two ways by which I can be conquered. One is the way of knowledge, another is the way of bhakti. There were two monks, one was devotee, another was jnani. So, jnani said, Soham, I am that infinite spirit. I am not this petty body mind. I am infinite. So he said, Soham, I am that. Sah means that, supreme, absolute truth. That I am, Soham. And there was a devotee. To him, this philosophy doesn't work. And he said, Soham is not correct. It is Dasoham. He had written Soham on his hermitage outside, Soham. He said, no, this Soham, how big I am. No, I am just the servant of the Lord. I am meek, I am humble. So he wrote, Dasoham. I am the servant. And this again, this Jnani saw Dasoham written, he again changed it. He writes Sa before that, Sadasoham. I am always, I am that. Sadasoham. And next day, again the devotee saw this, and he wrote, again Da he wrote before this, Dasa Dasoham. I am the servant of the servants of the Lord. So like that, there are two ways. Either you feel you are the servant of the Lord, all God does everything through you. You are not the worker, you are not the enjoyer, you are not the doer. Or you feel you are infinite, you are the witness. The things in the world is done by the power of Maya. You don't do anything, you are just the observer. Observer of the world, including the observer of the body. Soham, that be Soham. If you cannot do that, you cannot become witness of yourself and the whole world, just unattached, detached from everything in the world, then have the attitude of Dasoham. Say, I am the servant of the Lord. Whatever He makes me do, or she makes me do, I do. Whatever she makes me speak, I speak. These are the two ways by practicing which we can erase the I. Do we really erase the I? It's very difficult. It's like so much of this thing is there, like written I. If you write something on the paper with a pencil, you erase with the eraser, it goes, but something remains. You can find a faint impression. Like that is the I. I doesn't go. Unless you are in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, I is always there. Even if you have the vision of God, then also I am seeing God. That I is always there. Only in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, I is completely dead. Now, how this I to be erased? Somebody said, one should feel himself like a trolley on a railway track. Those who are in India, they might have seen that there is a trolley to inspect the rail lines. So, make yourself a trolley. Be on the rails, but make yourself free to be driven anywhere you like. But with the direction fixed, not that you will be taken north or south. Direction will be on the rails, you will be going that way. But however push it is given, be satisfied. Don't have ego that I have to go this much. I don't work. But someone pushes you and takes you towards goal. You know those people, when they conquer I, they do everything for the good of others. There is nothing that they want for themselves. Swami Vivekananda, when he was asked to go to the West, then he said, why am I going? Am I going for myself to prove that I am a big speaker? Then he was satisfied. He asked the Holy Mother, should I go? Holy Mother knew that Swamiji would go for the benefit of others. So he came not for himself, but for the good of the world he came. Whatever this great person who have conquered this ego do, everything is done for the good of others. That is there. When Hanuman was asked, how do you treat your I? How do you identify yourself? When he says, Hanuman said, beautiful poem, he said, Deha buddhyatu dasoham. When I feel myself as the body, O Lord, when I identify myself as this body-mind complex, I am your servant. I beat your saying, I want to obey you, I want to serve you, I want to worship you, I want to think of you. When I feel myself of the body. Deha buddhyatu dasoham. Jiva buddhyatu danusaka. When I feel myself as the soul, as the spirit, then I find myself I treat myself as your part. You are huge, I am small. But character same. You are enormous, I am small. But I am soul, undying, undecaying. When I feel myself as the jiva, I treat myself that. Then, Atma buddhya tavaivaham. But when I feel myself as the supreme self, then I am you. Then there is no difference between Rama and Hanuman. But on which level my mind is, and according to that, I change this I of mine. Sometimes I am your servant, sometimes I am a portion of yours, sometimes I am you. That's how I can be eradicated, or it can be diminished. So the best way to erase I is to feel that God is the doer. I am not the doer. Dasur. All is done by God alone. To think of God in everything that happens in the world. In everything, to think is God doing. That's what Tyaganandaji said. Whenever bad falls on you, don't think that someone brought. It's God's gift to me, or God gave that to me. Don't blame others who do some harm to you. Forget what others have done bad to you. And forget what good you have done to others. But most of the cases we do so less of good, it's very difficult even to remember how much good we did. So, but when you do good, That's also important. Small doing good, that also you remember, and then you always think, oh, I have done this, I helped that person, I donated this much to the charity. You always remember that. To remember that, we want to put up even the big plaques also. Swami Vivekananda said, when you give some money to a beggar, don't be proud that I am helping him, but be privileged. Think that you are privileged, that you are given an opportunity to help others. That's why it is not the receiver who will thank, but it's the giver will kneel down in front of the receiver, give something to him and thank him for receiving his gift. Because that person has allowed him to give something. This is the way how we can raise high. Always grateful for the opportunity given to me to do something good for others. Actually, erasing I or ego completely is not possible. It is like a small ashwatha tree, that fig tree in India. It is so powerful, its life force is so powerful, a small tree grows, you remove the whole thing, next day again it comes. So it's very vital, very powerful vitality it has. So it is difficult to remove that totally. So Sri Ramakrishna says, why do you want to remove I? Just ripen this I. Don't have the unripe I. Unripe I is the ego, which makes you feel, I am intelligent, I am rich, I am good. All this is unripe I. Ripen that I. You may not be able to get rid of the feeling of I. Then what is the ripening I? Think that you are a servant of God. You are a lover of humanity. So I don't do anything. Like that, try to ripen the I. Make it more soft, more friendly to everyone. Don't try to feel much differences and try to feel that you are also a human being, even the sea of human beings. So you don't have any great quality that others do not have. Like that, try to feel that how you are one among many. And that way, ripen your I. Ripening the I is the thing that is needed. Removing of the I is very difficult. That's why they say, turn this movement of I, which tries to express yourself as the achiever, as the doer, try to turn it towards God. That I achieved it by the grace of God. I could do it because God made me do. Always bring God as the doer and not yourself as the doer. That way, by ripening the I, you will make the I very soft, workable. And finally, one day, it is expected that you may be totally able to erase totally this I. When I is got very thin, is almost ripe, then there will come complete surrender to the will of God. There will know that I will do this, as Swami Brahmananda used to say. He was given once to put a signature on some paper, and Brahmananda left it there. 2 days, 3 days, he was not giving. Then he said, one person said, Swamiji, why are you putting a signature to it? He said, I forgot to put sign. How to write my name, I forgot. There is so much disconnection with I and mine. How to write my name, I was not remembering. Then when he will go back to Belur from Bhubaneswar, he couldn't say. He said, I don't know. When God says me, then I will go. Everything they are dependent on God's command. They feel that in their heart, that every step they take by the command of God. Every step they take for the love of God. Everything they do for the love of God. That's what happens when this I ripens. So, to erase this I completely, if it is not possible now, we have the possibility to make this I thinner and more insignificant, make it more transparent by two processes. Either you feel you are a devotee of God, a servant of God, working on the behest of God's direction, or you feel you are the Supreme Self, you are non-ego, identify yourself as the witness of everything that happens in the world, everything that is carried out through your body and mind. Just say, some new thoughts come, don't think that I thought this, I did this. Say, oh, nice thought coming to this person's mind. Good. Like that. Just be a witness. That is another way by which Dasoham and Soham, the ways by which we can really try to erase this I, and this thick blanket of ignorance can be made thinner, and when it becomes thinner and thinner and purer, then it becomes transparent. Though there will be a case of I, like a glass case, but from it the light of the self will emanate, and the glory of the self, the bliss of the self will always come out from us. Erasing of the I will make that, making us, transforming us from an animal-like person to human being to God-like being.